everybody, and welcome to the Insurance Television Network. I'm Trish Hardy, and today we have a special guest who we all know.
Right.
It is esteemed author, entrepreneur, salesperson extraordinaire, and motivational speaker, Joe Battaglia.
Well, thank you for having me today. Thank you, everybody, for viewing in.
Thank you. Today we're going to talk about Joe's book, The Power of You. Basically, it is an insurance agent's roadmap to success. I can attest to it, and so can many, many other agents. So, Joe, how did you get involved in the insurance business?
Well, Trish, you know what? There's a lot of opportunities that always pass everybody's way from here to there. But the idea, here's what happened, right? So I started hearing about the insurance business, right? And, you know, it was a great business. We see all these big insurance agencies. We all, you know, every agent saying they make a lot of money. And, you know, this is in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
So they were all, you know, touting how great the business was, right? So I started looking into it. And then when I started looking into, you know, I heard about this residual income. You know, residual income, as you know, it's the foundation to keep on paying year after year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once I heard about that, I realized, well, there's not many industries that have that. I started looking more and more into it, right? And let me tell you, it was the best thing I ever did. So because of residual income, because of those first agents that I observed making money, and then the residual income, that just set the pace for me.
Okay.
I was in.
You were in. Okay, now, how did you come up with this proven roadmap of success that you have so beautifully and simply illustrated in your book? How did you come up with that?
Right. So what I was looking at is basically is that, you know, you get your license, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the insurance department doesn't send you a letter say, hey, Trish, congratulations on getting your license. We're going to make sure you make a lot of money this year.
No, they
didn't do that, right? We're going to make sure we give you leads. Did they do that for you?
No.
You know, we're going to mentor and coach and train you, Trish, too.
No.
You didn't get that letter?
I didn't get that letter.
And I'm sure you didn't either, right? So I started looking at that and I said, well, the business is good, right? We know the business is great, right? But it's easy to get your license, but who's mentoring, coaching, and training, providing a roadmap? So that's when the roadmap idea started coming to me, and I started to develop it. You know, I've been in this business for many, many years. And, you know, I learned a lot of things. Let's face it, you know, there's things that make you money, certain things that don't make you money, and everything in between. And what I did notice is don't repeat the things that didn't make you money, but make the ones that make you money, well, sharpen those. And that's what I've always been doing.
Okay. What made you think of getting involved in this senior market?
Okay, so I'm in the insurance business, right? And back then I was doing P&C, right? I was selling auto insurance, homeowners insurance, right? And you were babysitting clients, a lot of work, not a lot of commission, so you had to work really hard, right? And then I started looking, and you know, you always heard the term the baby boomers, aging of America, right? And you know, everybody has a parent, a grandma, whatever, grandparents, right? And you start saying, wow, maybe there's something to all this, right? So I started investigating this baby boomer, and I look at statistics, right? You know, back when I first started, it was like 9,000 people a day were turning 65. Now it's 11,000 plus turning 65.
A lot of people.
Yeah. And then I looked into another fact that, you know, in the coming years, there's going to be $68 trillion. I'll repeat that, $68 trillion of assets that are being transferred from the baby boomers onto the Gen X's, the millennials, all that stuff like that. So I said, wow, there's a lot of money being transferred. There's a lot of needs because when a person retires, these baby boomers, health and wealth is a major concern. So Medicare came into this picture. I said, my God, this is a fantastic business. And that's when I started putting the foundation together for the Medicare programs. And then it just led into the financial products and everything in between.
Because it's just a natural transition.
Yes, it was.
Health and wealth, you're
absolutely,
right.
Yeah.
I know I'm not that long in the insurance business, and I know when I first started, I did not meet you initially.
Mm-hmm.
I had gone to a very large, prestigious agency and got my business suits, and I'm going to sell insurance. And I got there, and I pretty quickly figured out that everything costs money, from your desk to your computer program to your new computer that you didn't really ask for. Before I knew it, I was owing money, not having made one penny,
Right.
and nobody is giving me leads to say, this is how you can make that money that you owe us.
Right, absolutely.
Why are you different?
Well, what you look at, that's the way business was conducted back then. And everything I ever get involved in life, I look to disrupt the status quo, because there's always got to be a better way of doing business, right? Mm-hmm. So looking at that, I looked at what agents were struggling with. You're in a great market, right? But the idea is nobody was really supporting you. And as you mentioned, it was costing you a lot of money.
Yeah.
To subject you in the beginning to lots of high costs, well, that could be a stumbling block, right? And a lot of people, they don't like it. And now they get turned off with the business. The business doesn't materialize for them within the first few months. Most people get involved in a new business because their other business wasn't working. So, now they need something that's going to work real fast. So you're putting all these constraints on that agent now. And it's a little difficult. So looking at that, I said, well, how can I change that, right? And that's what it's all about. Why charge? Why do you have to charge for things, right? It shouldn't be that way. You got to appreciate those agents. I understand those big firms, they have big costs and all that stuff, but still, to pass those costs on to an agent, I think it's counterproductive, Trish.
Well, it was in my case.
There you go.
Here I am.
There you go, right?
Actually, it worked out in the end great for me.
That's
because
right.
I came here.
Got it.
All right, so did you have any idea that when you started to go in this direction with the senior market, that you would wind up building one of the largest agencies in the country?
Well, let me tell you, I look back now, and everywhere I go, I just look back and I say to my family, I just can't believe it. You look back and it's where you started, right? Mm-hmm. When I first started, everything I ever did, right, I always had this intensity, this drive to make everything successful, right? So I knew that I was going to be successful, right? And I was successful in things, but I knew that I didn't achieve the success that I knew I could do. And then I got involved in this Medicare business, right? And you know what? Is it easy? No. But it wasn't easy for me in the beginning, but I never gave up and I kept on doing things. But I then started saying, how can I make it easy for other agents who are struggling out there? Because Medicare is like this hidden secret. It's a hidden secret, right? And now you see that, right?
Absolutely.
And anybody gets involved in it, they see it too. So, I didn't know it was going to turn into what it did. But here's what I do know is that I didn't stop. And because I had that passion and I was driven, it didn't stop. And it provided me. Look, you get what you get out of life. If you do certain things, you will get. If you don't have activities going on each day, nothing's going to happen, right? I mean, you're busy every day with activities, right? You understand that, right?
Yes, very busy.
Right, so it's those activities that I kept on moving on and on and on. Were there obstacles along the way? Of course, but that's all part of business. So if you listen to the obstacles, well then you're going to be knocked down all the time. It was just part of business. I accepted it. It's no problem. I moved on. And if I would have stopped, well, we wouldn't be talking today.
That's right. And
so,
I wouldn't be
thank
here.
God. There you go.
Well, I'm glad you didn't stop.
Thank you.
Okay. Why, you talk in the book about regimen and structure. So why, and there's also a quote that I like from you, and you can elaborate on it. Disciplined actions minimize disappointing results.
Think about this, right? So you want these results to happen, right? Well, it only happens by certain activities that you do, right? So what you look at is, now, I want to get to be here in production. Well, what is it you're going to be doing? And when you're doing things, well, let me share an example. So you're calling leads up, right? So an agent will try leads and maybe it doesn't work for them the old way. It doesn't work for them and they stop, right? So they stop, but not realizing there was something wrong in what you were doing, that it didn't work, right? You see, I've called tens of thousands of people, right? The idea is, here's what I do know. People are going to hang up on me. I don't care. It's part of the deal, right? It's part of the deal. People are going to hang up on you. Who cares?
I hang up on people.
There you go, right? We all hang up on people. But the idea is, it's a very disciplined approach. Every day, there's certain activities you need to do. You have to be disciplined, because if the moment you take your eye off that game of activities, that's when everything starts to fall down. Because it's not in play. There's no synergy in everything that you're building. So the moment you start to take your eye off the game, the eye off your activities, right? You see, don't always be concerned about, making that $1 million, right? Oh, I got to make $1 million this year, right? Be concerned about doing the activities to get you there, right? And the moment you stop, well, now you're knocked back down, and now it takes 2 times more effort to get back up again. Just keep on going. You know what's going to happen each day. You're going to get disappointments during the course of the day, but that's just the way it is. Who cares? Be strong, be resilient, be regimented, and that's what it's all about. Yeah, hey, let me ask you this, Trish. When we want to send the Marines in, God bless them, when we want to send the Marines in to do a battle, right? Do they say, well, you know what, maybe tomorrow we're going to do a little invasion. Let's try it for 5 minutes and see what happens? No.
No.
Right? Everything
Thank
is
God,
discipline.
no.
Right? Everything is discipline, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's how it gets
Be
done.
disciplined and it all works out for you.
Okay. All right. You, in your book, The Power of You speak about 3 aspects of success.
Mm-hmm.
One is product knowledge, then we have marketing prospecting, and 3 is presentation. Are any one of those more important than the other?
Absolutely. You know, a lot of people, you know, have different ideas of what is the perfect mix of things. But here's what, in my opinion, what makes sense, right? And I'm going to show you. Marketing is number one. Marketing is number one. If I was to ask you, Trish, who's that company with the golden arches? Who is that?
McDonald's.
Now, how do you know that? You didn't see a sign that says McDonald's, whatever it is.
You just know.
You just know, right? Who's that company with that swoosh? Who's that?
Nike.
How do you know this? There's nobody, they're not telling you who they are.
No, they don't have to.
You see, that's your ultimate branding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they spend hundreds of millions of dollars on branding, right?
Right.
So marketing is your key because you need to start to brand yourself out there. So if you're not doing marketing, nothing can happen. Now, marketing brings you the prospects too. You can't sell a product to nobody. You need to do marketing to get the prospects to give you a call or to have some kind of dialogue to tell your story, right?
Right.
Now, what you look at product knowledge, well, that's important, right? You need to know your products because how can I sell something if I don't know how it stacks up against the competition?
Exactly.
So marketing, though, brings you the prospects to tell your story about the product, right? Well, then there's something else that comes into play, your presentation skills. You see, people buy people. If you rub me the wrong way, I'm not going to buy from you, right?
That's true.
You see, that's what it's all about. But marketing brings this, it starts the motion. It starts the cycle. So marketing, in my opinion, comes first. Without it, who are you going to sell if you have nobody to sell to?
It makes sense. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if nobody's listening,
Exactly.
you've got no chance.
There you go.
One of the other things in the book that I like is treat your business like a business,
Like a business,
which
yes.
seems like a no-brainer,
Right.
but it doesn't always happen.
No, exactly. So
Yeah.
you need to treat your business. A lot of our viewers right now, they're looking and they say, well, you know, I treat my business like a business. Well, do you really treat it like a business? You know, if you had your own company, right? If you had a deli or a clothing store, right? You have legal issues, right? You have inventory issues. You have staff payroll issues, legal issues. There's products. You got to have signs. You got marketing. So many things you have to tend to.
Right.
You know, with an agent, when they get their insurance license, they think, oh, I don't have anything like that. But no, you need to start treating your business like a business. Because let me ask you this. If you have a store stacked with stuff, a grocery store, and you have all the inventory in there, but there's no sign above the door to show it's a deli, how do people know what you sell, Trish?
They have no idea.
No idea. And it's the same thing if you have a sign on the window, and if people walk in and there's nothing on the shelves, what are you going to sell?
Nothing.
People are going to walk out, right? So you need to treat your business like a business. Your marketing, how do you brand yourself? The products that you sell, do you represent all the products in the area? Your presentation skills, are people wowed when they come into your store? Your store is not your store. But now because we're in a digital era, the idea of your website becomes your store, right?
Which definitely,
You need that,
in this
right?
day and age,
You need to have a website, absolutely. So
Sure.
that's a little bit about treating it like a business.
And and not to mention your employee, which would be you, are they stepping up to the plate?
Right.
Like we always talk about this. If you were your boss, would you fire you?
Right.
That's another one.
Think about that, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
think about this. If you went into work and you came in, you started at 9 o'clock, right? But you didn't start doing actual work till 11, would your boss fire you?
Probably.
If you started at 9 o'clock and you came in 11 o'clock, would your boss fire you?
Yes.
If you came in at 9 o'clock and you left at 5 o'clock, right? So those are good hours. You did
Yeah.
your hours.
Yeah.
But you sold nothing all day, would your boss have a discussion with you?
Yes, for sure.
And that's my point, and that's what we always
Right.
discuss, right?
Yeah.
You need to treat your business like a business, and you need to make sure you conduct your business. If you were your boss, would you fire you? You see, if you simply do that, you're on the right road. That's all you have to do.
Good advice. Okay, let's talk about the anatomy of a goal. I mean, lots of people have lots of goals and they sound great. My goal is to make $1 million. My goal is to double my business. Why do you think that doesn't work?
everybody's twisted with their goals. You see, in my opinion, a goal, if I was to ask you, Trish, what is your goal? What's your goal?
Well, now I know the correct answer. I've been
Well,
around you too much.
There you go.
But
what is
here's
it?
my goal. Financial independence. Financial freedom.
Yeah, everybody says that. What about making that $1 million, buying a new car, buying a new home, buying a new boat?
Absolutely.
That's a wonderful goal.
Yeah, I have a lot of good goals.
Yeah, well, that's not a goal though, Trish. Here's what your goal should be. Remember, those things you mentioned that are so-called goals are rewards for certain activities that you do. You see, your goals have to be replaced with activities. You know what your goal should be? Your goal should be calls. Because remember, if you don't call and talk to somebody and share a story how you can help them provide a solution, well, you're never going to get anything, right?
You'll never get there.
Right. So your production, right, that you want to do this $1 million, that's not the goal. That's a reward for doing certain activities to get you there, if you understand.
I do.
There you go.
I do. So that's cart before the horse. It's the daily, what you're saying, it's
I
the
like
daily activity
Right.
that's going to get you to your goals.
Right, you got to get in front of people.
Yeah,
If you're not in front of
exactly.
people, nothing's going to
And
happen.
if you're not on the phone, you're not going to get in
And what
front
does
of
it
people.
start with? What do you have to do first?
Call.
Well, what do you do? It's part of marketing, isn't
Marketing.
it?
It's
Part of
marketing. Absolutely.
That's
You
why
could
marketing, in my opinion,
You
is
could
so
have a
important.
great office. You could have it all going on, just sitting there all by yourself.
That's right.
Doing nothing.
That's
Yeah,
true.
Very
Can't
easy.
do it.
Okay. So, which brings me to another one of the famous Joe sayings that we all around here know. It is know before you go.
Right.
Tell
So,
them what that means.
know before you go. So typically, the old school is, hey, you never know, right? How many of you, go on appointments because, hey, you never know, because of the desperation of being on an appointment to maybe get a sale, you will go on any appointment that there is, right? Think about this.
And go multiple times
Oh,
to the same
absolutely.
person.
Right, so you're going
Yeah.
to go 1 time, 2 times, 3
Yeah.
times, and still doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Yeah, no.
So the idea is we practice something called know before you go. You see, in what we sell, it's a high demand, low cost product, Medicare products. When you sell life insurance and other products like that, there's a low demand and high cost. So it makes it's prohibitive for you to sell, and that's why you have to do these multiple, visits and all that great stuff, right? And you go on multiple visits because you never know what's going to materialize, and you do that.
You can get lucky.
You can get lucky, but luck has nothing to do with this business.
I know.
We have to deal. Remember we spoke about before,
Yeah.
right? We're like the Marines. We go in very methodically. We have a
Right.
plan. That's why I bring this all into play. You need a plan, Trish. You can't do it the old way. It's a new way of doing things. So you have to be on top of your game. So know before you go makes more sense than, hey, you never know.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
There you
that
go.
was one of, I remember being at selling a different type of insurance or attempting to, and it was going over all the multiple meetings, the coffee meeting, the this meeting, the that meeting. I'm thinking, when is the meeting when they sign the contract? When is that going to happen?
Right, I know.
I don't have that problem anymore.
Right, and that's good.
Yeah, I
Because
know
it's the
before
product
I
you sell,
go
right.
that I'm coming back with an application.
Think about it. I'm sure our viewers, they'd love to
Yeah.
be on appointments. I mean, what's your closing ratio?
Oh, 100%.
100%.
And I am a superstar, but I'm not really a superstar. I follow the directions, and you can't mess it up.
Now, a lot of agents I speak to, their closing ratios in life insurance is maybe 30, 35%, right? But you're telling me you have 100%?
100%.
That's a big difference.
People ask me, how many appointments do you go on until somebody actually you write a policy? And I'm thinking, every appointment,
Right,
and they
every
can't
appointment.
believe it. But I don't know any other way.
Yeah.
Because I was lucky enough to come here first.
There you go.
Well, second, I was somewhere else very briefly.
Good.
Okay, let's talk about that wow factor.
Okay.
What is the wow factor?
Okay. So after you leave us today, right, after I leave, are you going to say, wow, that Joe Battaglia knows his stuff? Wow, right?
Uh-huh.
It's as simple as a wow like that. Do you feel that I know everything? Do you feel that with my principles, if you follow them, how certain are you going to be that you will be successful, right? It's this wow factor when you walk in a room and people say, wow, what an incredible person Trish is. That's what it's all about. You need to wow people. You need to wow them with your presentation skills, right? Mm-hmm. Wow them with your marketing. Wow them with your product knowledge. These are all things that are wowable. So what you need to start doing is wow yourself, wow people, right? Look at how people perceive you, because if they're going, wow, you did your job.
Yeah. Bring
Wow
your
is
A
good.
game.
Wow is
Yeah,
good.
Bring your A game.
Okay.
Which brings me to a philosophy that you have called, I'll just give the initials, DICE.
DICE.
What is DICE,
Right.
and how does it work?
All right, so DICE is not, we're not in a casino.
Yeah.
This is DICE to really look at, how do people buy, right? What's their buying behaviors, because we always say that people buy people, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, everybody's categorized in different types of personalities, and we could spend hours on it, but in a very concise way. There's those dominant people out there, right? So dominant, I find myself being a more dominant person, right? Then there's I for introverted people. Those are quiet people. You all know quiet people.
Not us, though.
Right. Then you have those C compliant people. Those are like the accountants, CPAs. Everything is very methodical. Dot your I's, cross your T's. Anything like that. Then you have the extroverts like you, right? So an extroverted person, well, they're happy-go-lucky. Everything is great, right? You need to identify those people, because you need to start to talk to them in a certain way. You see, the products you have might be fantastic, but if you don't talk to the opposite person, that prospect, in a certain way that they feel comfortable with, you're probably not going to get that sale.
Yeah.
So the idea is, what we always say is that know before you go. What's learning about their needs, but learning them. You got to study your prospect. If you understand what your product is, how they live and breathe, what's important to them, well, then it makes your job a lot easier. And that's why you have 100% closing ratio. That's why 98% of our agents have 100% closing ratio. The other 2% is because they don't listen to what we say. But if you follow, right? If you follow what we say, you're going to be fine. So I think I got that right.
You did.
There you go.
You did.
So that's what DICE is all about.
That's what. Okay. A schedule of calling is very important. And we already spoke about the being regimented, but you talked a lot about switching it up. I mean, if you're the caller that calls every day from 11 to 2 every single day, why is that not a great idea?
Right. So here's what you have to do. It's about regimenting. We never know when somebody's home, right? So you got to cycleize your calling sessions, right? The idea is what we always want to do, Trish, is that, we share with agents that we don't want you to work hard. You've heard this term before, working smarter, not harder, right?
Yes.
So we want to work very smart in what we do. So the products that we sell, well, they practically sell themselves. It's a high demand, low cost product, so that's good. We understand DICE, we understand people, right? Well, the idea is, how do we take all this together, that wow factor, all these different principles and ideas, and how do we mold it into calling sessions, and how do we work, smarter, not harder, right? The idea is, it's our goal, and what we share with agents is, we don't want you working, at nighttime on weekends. You see, what we firmly believe in, you have a business life, a social life, and a family life. The idea is you have to dedicate time. After you work, after 5 o'clock, that's your family time. Your weekends is your family time, your social time, because that's what it's all about. Too many people right now, they're working bill to bill, paying bills. Yeah. The idea is they forget, they neglect their family. That's not what it's all about. So what we try to show you is that this is a market that can give you everything you want if you work smart, if you follow our principles, if you allow us to mentor and coach and train you. You'll have plenty of time for your family. So you don't need to spend a lot of, you go with certain companies. I'm sure that company you went with before, they tell you got to work hard. You got to work 80 hours a week. You got to do what? Who does this?
It sounded great.
Right, it sounded great. Imagine that you want to go to work 80 hours and only to maybe make it.
Yeah.
What's that all about? So the idea is, what we profess is that let's work smarter, not harder. Let's dedicate, when you work, let it be good, solid work. Let it be efficient, effective, and it's all going to work out for you. And you have plenty of time for family and social life. Not bad, right? Making lots of money.
Not bad, yeah. Sounds good to me.
All right.
What would you think, how do you think that this business, this senior market business, could benefit established financial advisors?
Well, here's what you look at. Financial advisors, they look for that golden nest egg. And what that is, Trish, is that they're looking for these 401k, the IRA rollovers. That was a big business, right? What I mentioned about Medicare is a fantastic business because it's health and wealth, right?
Right.
So we get, when those persons retire, first they think about their health insurance, right? So if we're taking care of the health insurance, because most of the products, if the viewers don't know, most of the products are very low premium. There's even like 50, 60% are zero premium. Well, that's fantastic. Imagine selling something that has a zero premium. Well, now this person you become their trusted advisor. And now if you're a financial advisor, you have access now to that golden egg, which is the 401k rollovers. I can't tell you how many agents across the country call us up with millions of dollars of new assets that they gather because of the Medicare business. So for financial advisors, it's a big bonanza.
Right, because I think people would rather have one trusted person
Absolutely.
than multiple people.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, that's
Absolutely.
good. One other thing, just to kind of go back on, one of the other things that I did not like when I first got into the insurance business was I was asked to write down 100 of my closest friends and family. Now, I was not a kid, and I'm thinking, well, I gotta call I haven't spoken to my I can't. Are you gonna call me? Like, how is this gonna work? This is not me.
Trish, I gotta have a big laugh. I gotta really have a big laugh.
There was no way I was doing it.
So that actually, the closest 100 friends and relatives I heard now is 250 of your closest friends and relatives, because 100's not enough anymore.
Yeah.
So here's what it's all about. So those firms used that in the past, and I'm sure it worked out well, but here's for an agent, because they don't understand. They want you to do that because that's your so-called warm market. So you go and contact your warm market, and you know what, frankly, you're limiting your business. You know what, if you have to talk to your warm market because you don't feel you have the qualities to talk to the other market out there, you have a problem, right? Yeah. Well, you didn't master the art of salesmanship, you didn't master, people buying people, Dyson, all those great communication skills, right? So by you using this warm market, I feel it limits you. And you know what the truth of the matter is? That after 3 months of you not being successful, you wind up leaving that firm because it's like a turnstile in those firms.
Yeah.
And what happens is your family, your friends, your relatives are now the clients of another financial advisor or another insurance agent. And then when you finally get to meet up with your family or friends and they see you months later and they say, Trish, what happened? I called you up, you weren't at that firm. And now you got to tell them, I didn't make the cut. You didn't make the cut because of the products you're selling. You didn't make the cut because you weren't meant to coach and train the right way. So guess what? We don't have that.
No.
We don't have that. We have an easy product that sells and people listen. So we don't have that, I'm sorry.
That's true. That's true. That was one of the things that I thought, oh, that's a huge relief. Now, you've helped so many agents, both new to the business like me and seasoned agents, achieve financial success in this senior market with your roadmap, and you took the trouble to write a book, and I'm sure this was a lot of work to write a book. Why not just keep your proven track record all yourself, and why not do that? Why are you sharing it with everyone? Why do you choose to do that?
Well,
why are you helping people?
Right. I'm a firm believer you have to help people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was, and again, there were the times when I struggled too, right? But the idea is I didn't give up, right? I kept on moving forward, right? It was just another day. If it was a struggle, it was just another day. Who cares? I kept on moving on.
Right.
And the idea is that I know that there are many other agents. There's 1 million agents out there, right, across the United States. And I knew that they were struggling. I knew that the average income for agents across the country is $42,000, right? You can't really make it with that. So agents are dabbling out there. They're not really focused and structured, right? And you know what? I started to think about this. I said, I need to do something to help agents out there. It's all about giving. If I was blessed with the business, it's time for me to help people, right? And every time I may have done a seminar or a webinar, people come up to say, Joe, you're fantastic. Why don't you do some motivational speaking? Okay, whatever. Then I would tell some people, I would be at a meeting and discuss things. Joe, you should write a book. So for years, I kept on hearing this, right? And from years and years of hearing these things, I went back to my family and says, I'm going to write a book. Oh, stop. No, I'm going to write a book. And I did.
You did.
And it took me a long time. Whether I was on a plane flying to meetings, I'd be writing this. Whether I was in between meetings in my office, people would see me writing things, right? And they said, what are you doing? Don't worry about it, right? And I kept on doing it. It took me a year to put it together, right? Because I wanted to make it simple. I wanted to make it unbiased. I wanted to make it, just a good reading book. And it took me time. I kept on doing it. And we have it today. And what I want agents is to just read it, because if you read it, it's going to make your life easy. And that's what it's all about. My life is very easy because of the market I went into. You know, is it for everybody? Well, we have a simple saying that it's not for everybody, it's only for those who want to make a lot of money. So I don't know if that's you or you, Trish, but that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, yes.
Well, it definitely does work. Now, you do a lot of motivational speaking. There's many motivational speakers that you see, and they have programs, and they have subscriptions, and they charge a lot of money. And how much do you charge for your motivational speaking, for your series, if you do something, a video? How much do you charge for that?
So what we do is, the idea is, Trish, I know you're sitting down, so I just have to tell you, okay, are you ready for this? We don't charge anything. The idea is it's zero. Everything we do, we don't have cost for you to do things, right? The idea is that, look, hey, you know what? Share. We're sharing with everybody. We have all these tools, all these coaching, the mentoring. We have everything that you need to be successful. That's what it's all about. What we don't want is, I don't want somebody to say, hey, I'm going to give it a try. I don't want that. I know that if you're looking to make your life easy, I know that if you've been doing insurance, or if you're new to the business and you're trying to find the path to go, it's our pleasure to share that information for you. All I ask you is that you actually follow it to the T, because you're on the right road.
Well, I can attest to that. It's zero. I can attest to that. If you follow the simple directions, and simple doesn't mean easy, but it is simple. It's not convoluted and complicated. You will be successful. And this moves from many different levels, even from the new agent straight on up to a seasoned advisor.
Sure.
Well, the book is available on Amazon.
Right.
It's affordable. It's not going to break the bank, but I highly recommend getting it. I know many agents that have it. It's The Power of You by Joseph Battaglia. And you do seminars around?
Yes, absolutely.
You do.
Absolutely.
And will you put them out so people will know when they're going to be?
Absolutely.
On the Insurance Television Network?
You just call into us too, so it's
Oh.
there, and it's on the screen. They'll see our telephone number. You can call into our office.
Right.
But it's all there for you. You have questions, right? Some people, they see it and they go, "Wow, this is incredible! I heard about the Medicare market. I want to get involved. Hey, Joe, I read your book. I like all this." The idea is you're gonna have lots of questions. Call us up, and it's our pleasure to help you with any question you have, because it's got to be right for you. It's not about us, it's about you. So if you have any further questions, give us a call.
So if somebody is not directly close, if they're in the middle of the country, if they're in California, if they're in New Mexico, you can help them.
No problem at all. So no matter where you are, we can help you. We have such an incredible electronic format, digital format, so everything can help you no matter where you are. So the answer is yes.
That's great. Well, that's going to be it for us today. I want to thank Mr. Battaglia for taking the time. I want to highly recommend The Power of You, available on Amazon. And we'll see you on another day. Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Bye.